In this city of prey, I am the only hunter.
I always say, when life gets hairy, grin and bear it.
Hello! I'm Hunter Horton.
And I'm Papa the Bear.
And welcome to the Real Housebears. Have you guys been talking bad about my podcast? I better hear it now, because if I hear it later, it's not going to be good. Oh, and yeehaw! We're in Texas.
We are in Texas.
We're in Sweet Oak, Texas.
Hi, everybody. We're back. We made it back.
Yes.
And we're finally going to catch up.
And we're in a city, a new place. And that was the alarm for the washing machine.
We are not in the hot closet.
We are not in the hot closet. We are actually in a very awesome pool house of our friends.
What the hell is this place?
Yes. And it's big, open, and spacious. And we are even sitting on opposite sides right now.
Yeah, we're sitting on different sides. It's kind of
really weird. It's a bizarro world.
But we're not in the hot closet, so I felt like it was time to change things up. So our sound is going to be a little bit different because we're not surrounded by my clothes to absorb all the stuff.
And there'll be sounds and stuff. And you guys have a little drinking rule if you guys are not heading to work or at work or driving, if you guys are just chilling at home.
Yeah, we're not drinking today because we're getting ready to catch a flight.
Yes. And speaking of flights, your guys' drinking sound is if you guys can hear the airplanes going over ahead of us, then you have to drink.
Yeah, every time you hear an airplane, drink on our behalf.
Yeah. And you guys may not even hear the plane go over.
But I mean, that would be great. Yeah. That would be really great. You know, I do pride ourselves on a pretty nice quality sounding podcast.
There it is.
Drink. Shot, 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 shot.
There's that airplane.
Just bring shots.
Gotcha.
I'm stressed out.
So, we are finally catching up, even though we're getting this episode out really, really late.
But we're getting back on track.
Yeah, so if we don't get this episode out today, we'll at least get it out tomorrow when the next episode is actually...
Yes. And you guys will just get extra dose of Housebears.
But we've had a fantastic weekend in Dallas. We've been at an event called the Texas Bear Roundup.
Or TBRU.
That's like gay bohemia.
TBRU. It's been an awesome weekend. It really has been probably the best organized event I have ever attended in my life.
It's been a blast, and I actually got to be the only guest judge for the competition.
Yes, the Mr. TBRU contest.
Yes, and I judged the hell out of that contest.
Yeah, you did.
I sure did.
You sure are good at judging people.
I'm really good at it. I'm really good at it.
So it's been a really, really great weekend. Dallas is such a fun town.
The people are fun. Everything's good here.
I finally today got to have my Texas barbecue for the first time.
Oh.
You know, I travel the country for my work, and I always try barbecue when I go to cities that are known for barbecue, like St. Louis has incredible barbecue. Atlanta, some places in South Carolina. Hadn't had Texas yet, and Texas did me right today.
Texas barbecue is good.
When you don't need a knife for your brisket, you know that's some good brisket.
Yeah, I just peeled it apart.
Yeah.
I picked it up and it just fell. I was like, oh, okay.
So, thank you for an awesome weekend, Texas. Thank you to our listeners for being patient while we're getting caught up. But I promise you, we are getting caught up. But before we get into the last two episodes in New Jersey, I just want to say our Salt Lake City choir thing is really revving up. Mm-hmm. We're getting some fun stuff going on. If you're a Salt Lake City listener and you missed the auditions, send me a DM through the Real Housebears, and we'll see what we can do for you.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into...
Don't get aggravated over this allegation. Aggravation, allegation, turbulation.
I'm aggravated. I'm aggravated. I don't like it.
I don't like these allegations, and I'm aggravated.
This is the dumbest thing ever.
Well, you know, Bill Aden did not like the allegations that his wife was evil and
dirty.
Trash and dirty and everything else that Joe Gorga said. But, you know, Frank is it's such a shame that Frank has such a seedy past because, he's being the good guy here. Let me first go check on Bill. Let me see if I can get Bill to come back. Let me see but Bill was not having it.
No, Bill doesn't have any patience for this.
And especially because Evan is, still acting smug, and it's really not cute. I don't like the way that Evan's acting here. I think he's bring it down a little bit. But, Frank understands that Bill is going to defend his wife.
Yeah.
He's like, the other guys would do the same. Who knew that this would come up right after, we're filming the day after the Oscars when Will Smith, quote unquote, defended his wife.
Yeah.
Very
with violence.
controversial. Very controversial.
Not okay.
Yeah, maybe they all should have just punched Bill, or Bill should have just punched them.
I mean, if that's what Will Smith is giving us, is if anybody insults you in any kind of form or fashion, you get to go up and physically put your hands on them.
Yeah, don't talk about it.
Yeah, don't talk about it. Don't
talk
go up there
about
and
it.
say, hey, alopecia is a very damaging thing to the community, and it's very hard for women to lose their hair. And I want you to
Absolutely.
apologize to her, and I want you to apologize to everybody out there with alopecia right now. And
Yeah.
that's what he should have done.
I want dialogue, emotion, communication, and you're telling me you're incapable of that?
Maybe he should. But listen, Jada Pinkett Smith, she don't need hair. She's so pretty.
She's gorgeous.
Like, I love her without the hair.
Yeah.
Like, when she's worn wigs and other things in the past, I'm like, she don't need that. She's so pretty. I love a woman who can rock a shaved head.
Yeah,
I think it's
me
so
too.
sexy.
It's really good.
So, anyway, got a little bit off track there. But the shots are coming. They all toasted Bill except for Joe and Evan.
Yeah. Joe is such a little brat.
He is being quite a brat. So, and then Louis and his red face show up.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. He constantly looks like he just did a bunch of blow or something.
He got in the back of the Uber. They're like, can you turn that down a little bit?
I know.
But Louis isn't a big drinker. He's like been drinking water all day to prepare. And they fill him in like, Bill left, blah, 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 blah. And then Teresa calls.
Yeah, well, of
He
course.
barely arrives there and she's calling.
Oh, yeah. She needs to know what's going on.
Are they being good to you?
What is Joe doing to you?
If they're not nice, it's not going to be good.
It's not going to be good.
Teresa, we're being good to him.
And Louis like, you guys probably think that Teresa yells at me and she's like wild and crazy. I'm like, no, we think you do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're not so worried about Teresa really is well behaved when Louis is around.
It's scary.
It is kind of scary. Louis been divorced for over 10 years. And, Joe asked me about his past. He's like, do you have a past? Yes. No, Joe, I don't have a past.
No, I just
was
came out all of a
born.
sudden. Yeah,
I was just born. There's no
got
past.
here. I landed here like a year ago.
I never beat any woman. But Louis like, yeah, I've had about a few bad relationships. We all have exes that will talk bad about us.
The thing that Louis knows how to deflect as best as he can, because he just says his exes are thirsty, and then he brings up his own little rumor that may or may not be true about that ex to
She like stabbed her
stabbed him with a butcher knife, but I don't know. Anyways, it's just him trying to deflect and be like damning her character.
Yeah, he's like, I don't do physical violence, but she does.
But she does.
She
Yeah,
stabbed her
look,
husband.
she did it. So there, eyes off me. Whatever, Louis. I don't like you.
No. But again, Tiki is the one who asked him about it.
Yeah.
Tiki is like...
Tiki don't care. Tiki's
we don't
like,
need
I'm-
Tracy. We don't need Tracy. Just keep... Well, Tracy's pulling her own, too.
She
We'll get to
is.
that. She really is. She's diving in. I'm surprised she's not full-time because she's really getting involved with Teresa, of all people. But by the end of it all, it kind of seems like the men choose to give Louis the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, but Joe is kind of hesitant about it because he's like, if you did F up, I will find out about some point or later. And he's kind of getting in his head. He's like, well, these are too many allegations against him that are the same thing. And what do I do if it's too late to do something about it?
That's really, really tough. But I think he's just like, well, you know what?
I'm going to let it be
I
right
fight,
now.
the more she's going to stay with him.
Yeah. So he's just going to let it go right now. But I think in the back of his head, he's not looking. If there's another allegation with him out there, I think Joe's going to say something.
Oh, absolutely. The next morning, all the guys are hungover. Like, Joe's taking ibuprofen and Tums. Joe B is still in bed.
Joe, you gotta slow your roll.
Evan is the only one that's feeling good because he drank a lot of water.
Yeah, he's been up. He's worked out.
Yeah.
He's had a great day. Probably pooped a few times.
I mean, we didn't hear about it, but we don't need to hear about it. Louis threw up twice. Yes. Good for you.
The men all kind of like fill their women in on Louis' explanation of the drama with the ex. And all of the women are like, he's just deflecting.
Yeah.
What does what she does have to do with him?
Exactly.
And which that's a great point. And then the one part that Louis tells Teresa is that Tiki was asking a lot of questions because Tracy had been asking Tiki. He and Tracy had been talking about it, and Tracy's been like inquisitive at home. And that was not good to relate to Teresa.
Yeah, Teresa's now going to attack Tracy.
But
Tracy's next.
Yeah, but Louis is like fine with it. He's like not bothered by it, but Teresa is.
I want to protect our love bubble.
Over at the Aidens, Olivia got a new bike. Jennifer and Bill sit to recap the night before, like they haven't already talked about it.
I know.
Like he didn't go straight home 5 minutes after he left.
And she's like, why did you come home early?
Yeah. Hold on, let me get the guy from upstairs out.
I know.
I'm paying you back. But yeah, Jennifer was really thankful that Bill had her back, but it still wasn't enough because he's quiet and he doesn't show a lot of emotion. Listen, I really think that he's humiliated.
He doesn't want to bring this stuff back up.
And he doesn't want to be on camera, and he doesn't want to say or do the wrong thing, so he's shutting down.
Yeah, and Jennifer, unfortunately, all these old wounds that never healed are now opened back up, and now she's having to deal with them, and now she's going through a lot of turmoil in her head.
I can't imagine holding on to all of that for 10 years? And then finally, after 10 years, you just have to talk about it.
Yeah, and it's all anybody's talking about.
That makes my heart heavy. Mm-hmm. Dolores' house, though, is almost done. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
The kids are back in there now.
Yeah, they're without furniture, but at least they're not all stuck in the townhouse.
Right, he's like, I want furniture.
Dolores is obviously worried about her mom's surgery. David has been very helpful. The kids said they've been talking to David every day.
Like...
They probably don't talk to Frank every day. Well, I bet they do talk to
Y'all.
Well, at least, I bet you Frank Jr. probably talks to Frank every day, but not Gabby. Gabby, she's a spitfire.
Don't even put that in the universe.
Over at Margaret, she's with Lexi, and Margaret, I think, looks beautiful in that turban.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, that's a risky move to wear a turban, and I thought I even put beautiful
because it could
caps.
age you.
Yeah, or just make you look crazy, to be honest with you. But it made her face look beautiful even. Like, I was all over it. Margaret calls Dolores to check in on her and see how her mom's doing. Her mom's on bed rest until the surgery. So Margaret's like, well, while your mom's sleeping, why don't you come to spa day with us? Not to mention that I hope there's, Dolores said her mom's needs 24-hour supervision. So I hope there's someone there while Dolores
Oh, yeah, there's lots of people there. There's lots of people there.
Teresa's getting all dolled up for their 1-year anniversary.
And she needs to remind the kids about the 1-year anniversary.
Yeah, right.
Louis, my love, the great guy, isn't he great? Isn't he right? Isn't he great? He's the best. He's the best thing. Are you guys sure? Yeah, he's the best, you guys.
See how he treats me?
Do you see how he treats me? He's so good, and he's planning this all out himself. Don't you just love him? He's just so amazing.
You guys see how he treats me. He's like, right? Yeah. Isn't he great, guys? He's like the best guy ever. I love him.
All along, Adriana's like, are you sure Louis not my dad? Because I certainly don't fit in with the rest of these guys. But the girls are actually happy for Teresa after they've all been, through what they've been through for the past few years. Over at the Gorgas, they're making breakfast and planning Antonia's Sweet 16, which I end up seeing online and looked like a great party. They all looked really beautiful and happy. Melissa didn't get a Sweet 16 because her dad died in a car crash. Antonia has invited kids from her new school and her old school to her Sweet 16, but she's still not happy about being moved while she's in high school.
Middle of high school. And after that injury she had, she's completely sabotaging her own happiness now.
Yeah, she's being very much a teenager. Mm-hmm. But when you go to a new school, you're like, if you left your old school cheerleading squad, you go to your new school and see how their cheerleading squad is different. You see how their cheerleaders...
And you're not connected with anybody.
Yeah, and maybe this new team is even better than your old team, and it's intimidating, especially because I've been injured and I don't know if I can do a back handspring. So I get it, but she's being a brat.
Yeah.
I do get it, but she's totally being a brat. What did you think about the bracelet that Teresa bought Louis for their anniversary?
No.
Right? I was like,
oh, nice, a bracelet. Like, it doesn't even look fancy.
I guess I should look and see if, Jersey guys wear bracelets. I should look and see if any of the other guys wear bracelets.
I don't know, but I was like, a bracelet?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of crazy. Louise sent a driver to pick her up, and she's dropped off at the marina.
Can't you see how amazing he is?
The pink roses leading on the path to
he
the
just
boat.
loves me so much.
The saxophone player, the serenade.
Isn't he so amazing? I told him I played the saxophone in high school, and now look at this, he's doing it.
Right.
Is this a dream or is this really happening?
When Teresa first gave him her card and he's reading her card with the saxophone music in the background. I thought it was so wild.
I do like it, when she gives him the present, he's like, Oh, great. Yay. Thanks.
A bracelet.
Hooray. Did you make it yourself?
Teresa, I love this bracelet. Hey, will you go get my card? And then the
My
saxophone,
scroll.
saxophone player brings out this massive scroll with the top 20 reasons why Louis loves her, which is sweet.
It's totally sweet, but I also feel like it's a tactic for him to try to like envelop her completely enwrapped in him because of how amazing he treats her. And then after the honeymoon phase is over, he's going to turn into an abusive dick.
Let's hope not.
I hope not.
Let's hope not. But what cracked me up, you know how like when little kids are learning to read and they have to use their fingers to follow
Yes,
the letters?
I was going to say that.
It was like, I love you, Teresa.
I'm like, did you make these or are you reading these for your first time?
He's just learning he learned to read for her birthday. I mean, maybe
and all he gets is a bracelet.
right. He learned how to read. But it was a sweet little romantic evening for an anniversary.
It was cute.
I mean,
it wasn't a helicopter ride around New York City in a gold helicopter. But,
right.
you know.
Well, we know that Gia is the chosen one.
Jesus. And that wasn't even good for her.
We actually it's time to just retire Teresa and put Gia on the show.
I know, right?
Over at Spa that sounds like a sex shop to me.
Oh, spa. Oh.
So Jackie wishes Teresa a happy anniversary, and she tells them all about the sunset cruise and the scroll. But as soon as Teresa walks off, everyone wants to talk about Louis.
Oh, yeah, that's the first thing they start talking about.
But Melissa's like, nope.
I'm not putting any mud on his name. That will ruin our relationship with Teresa, and I'm not getting into it again.
Joe and I have decided not to let her stay in her love bubble.
Just let
me
her
try that again. They have decided to let Teresa stay in her love bubble.
Thank you.
Or her love bubble. I don't know. So since we're not talking about Louis, let's talk about Jennifer and Bill.
Now, she has burnt a lot of bridges now.
Especially since Jennifer is the only one not invited to this spa day. That's gotta hurt. I mean, I know that
she wouldn't want to go.
But they just wanted to be peaceful, no drama. And it mostly is, even though Teresa's
Dolores is there.
up.
It's mostly for Dolores.
Right. But Tracy has a lot to say, and Teresa's not happy about it.
She really does keep inserting herself into all these ladies' lives. And I'm like, where did she come from?
She's just being part of the show, you know? But Teresa is being patient and kind of kind because Louis wasn't offended by Tiki's questions. It doesn't last long.
No.
But we'll find out in the next episode about that. But Dolores finally arrives. Margaret asks her about her mom. Her mom needs 24/7 supervision. She could have a heart attack at any moment.
Yeah,
that's
scary.
terrifying.
Yeah, that's scary.
But again,
especially
David,
watching him sleep.
Oh,
Scary.
I wouldn't sleep a second.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to. I'd be freaked out.
But again, David's been to all appointments, but hasn't spoken to Dolores.
Yeah.
He must be really hurt by this breakup.
Yeah.
But you gotta understand.
Or spiteful.
Maybe. Well, at least he's still taking care of her family, and that's important.
But I also feel like that's also knowing him doing that might make him think that that's hurting Dolores too. He's like kind of sticking it to her. Like, well, your family still wants me and needs me around.
Or maybe he's just not emotionally mature.
Maybe he really isn't just emotionally available.
Yeah, people who are really, really super intelligent, like I'm assuming most medical profession people are, maybe he's just, he doesn't have the emotional intelligence.
He's all textbook.
But speaking of, forget Dolores' mom's heart attack. Melissa needed this spa day too. Antonia won't cheer.
Shut up. You're so stupid.
But it is a concern. She doesn't have a lack of drive. She's
giving up.
Well, and a lot of teenagers during the pandemic went into serious depression. Not getting to see their friends.
Especially with people just being inverted in general.
Yeah, and not letting them have their outlets for the things that they like to do, sports and cheerleading and all that kind of stuff. And then they move schools and then all of these other things. Makes sense that Antonia's struggling.
I said inverted instead of introverted.
And I didn't even catch it.
No.
So, listen, y'all, we've had a wild weekend.
It's been a wild week. We're running on fumes.
We really, really are. Well, after that first conversation, they switch rooms, and Teresa asked Dolores and Jackie what they think of Tracy, and Jackie's like, "Oh my God, I love her."
Love her.
And she's like, "I don't."
No.
She questions too much.
Yeah, she asks too many questions.
True friends, they don't question anybody.
So, and Tracy also talks about Jennifer. She doesn't know her.
No. Always inserting herself into these ladies' lives.
And Margaret talks harshly about Jennifer, too. And then Margaret walks in. Mm-hmm. And Teresa tells Margaret that you were trying to hurt Jennifer. And Margaret's like, I wasn't trying to hurt her. I was just trying to show her that she's a hypocrite.
Yeah, and also she gave her hints that she knew about the affair, and Jennifer still kept going for another year.
But you know what? Dolores tells Margaret how much Jennifer is really, really hurting. Margaret, I really think it seems that she realized the impact this week.
She would, you would have thought that since that happened, it would have been talked about in the family,
Everybody knows.
Yeah, so but now Margaret did not know, and she feels bad about that.
Yeah, and I'm really, in the next episode, it's really, really nice how they talk about it. And anyway, we'll talk about it then. In lieu of spa day, Jennifer is meeting with her brother, Stephen, who I just think he's adorable. I love. He's so much fun.
I love it that he just came back from the P-Town
Bear Week. Bear Week.
I mean, we're at a Bear Week right now, too.
Absolutely, we've been at a Bear Week.
There's Bear Weeks everywhere, but I hear P-Town is like the ultimate.
It's my mecca. I need to get there.
Stooges and then P-Town. It's a gay mecca.
Yeah, and that's where I belong.
Yeah.
With the bears. Jennifer has now told her mom, over the phone, about Bill's affair. Mm-hmm. As expected.
She blames Margaret and wants revenge.
And she's not mad at Bill.
I was like, wow, that's not okay for your mom to want revenge. That's not a great trait to hand off to anybody.
Well, it's not okay for your mom to not be mad at Bill.
Bill, yes. It shouldn't matter about Margaret.
I know that we've talked about it before, but I think it's heartbreaking that she lives in a culture where men
That's
just
what
be
men do. That's what they do. Yeah, and Jennifer's like, we don't live in that world anymore, Mom.
Yeah. But Stephen asks her how she's doing. She gets really emotional. She's dealing now when she should have dealt with it a long time ago. And she says they're still not talking about it. They're not going to therapy, and Bill's closed up. What?
I think Jennifer needs to go to therapy, too, by herself.
Well, that's the first step, but Bill's got to get in there.
Then they have to start doing couple therapy.
I think they should both be going to therapy separately, but a lot of men in their culture, that makes you weak.
Yeah. That's even what Coach Shaw said when he was talking about getting therapy and stuff. He's like, in the Black community and just men in general, it's not okay to get help because it makes you feel weak.
Yeah, and that's such a shame. We all need someone to talk to.
Yeah.
We all need someone to talk to. Well, I need to talk to you during this break.
Uh-oh.
About how sad I am that we haven't had a cocktail during this.
I know.
All right, guys, we're going to at least go get a drink of water, and we'll be right back.
Bye.
Oh, my babies, I'm gonna miss you.
This is Heather Gay from The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and you're listening to the Real Housebears podcast.
And we're back.
We are back.
Hello.
And at the Aidens in episode 8, Forest of Fury.
Forest of Fury.
There is no fury at the Aidens. They just want to know whether woodchucks can chuck wood.
It's a lie. None of it's true. Woodchucks can't chuck wood.
And isn't that funny? Still today, I've been saying that since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And that was quite a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So that was really cute.
Well, apparently everyone has been lying to you all these years.
They have been.
Mm-hmm.
I was certain they could chuck wood.
Of course they could chuck wood. I just didn't know how much they could chuck wood. How much wood could they chuck?
No one knows, really.
Well, I guess none.
None. You're right.
No.
Well, Bill calls Jennifer to tell her that he's going to be late because he's f***ing some pharmaceutical rep.
There.
Jennifer's getting ready to go meet with Margaret. She wants to put this to bed. Mm-hmm. She wants to take responsibility for her part and hopeful that Margaret takes responsibility for her part.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Margaret and Joe B are essentially having the same conversation.
Yeah, basically.
They meet up at a deli, and Margaret arrives, and they're immediately overly yet genuinely polite to each other.
Yeah.
It was big, but I
feel like they both were going in with a positive attitude.
Yeah. And Jennifer starts off immediately. She's like, I've never dealt with this before. I've been hanging on to this for 10 years, and I feel like you kicked me in the gut.
That's called karma.
Yeah. Because now she had to tell her family. Now she has to tell all of her children. So it just wasn't like an isolated incident. Now it's expanded in her family.
And Margaret is great here. She is immediately apologetic.
She said it must have been horrible for you to go through this by yourself.
Yeah, she's like, if I would have thought that you would have taken it differently, not knowing that you've never dealt with this, I would have never done this. And Margaret asks her about Bill, and Jennifer, like, she spills on Bill for the rest of this scene.
Listen, I'm very nervous for their future because she's in a place right now where she doesn't want Bill around her.
And especially when they see this after filming. Mm-hmm. Like, they just watched this, probably just a few weeks ago. And then now they're going to have to talk about that. And plus, Jennifer is spilling all of this about Bill to the person who's been her enemy for years.
I do feel like this conversation was good therapy for Jennifer. And this is why she needs to go to therapy, so she can get this all out of her head and off of her chest.
But she's afraid to go to therapy because she's afraid she'll find out that she doesn't want to work it out.
I know, that's nerve-wracking.
But Margaret's like, no, you'll work it out.
Yeah, she's like, this is small. You guys are going to be fine.
But nonetheless, Jennifer just keeps, spilling the tea, and Margaret tells her, like, you don't deserve it. I feel bad about it. And Jennifer takes her part for being hateful towards Margaret over the years, and she's going to be more conscious about her comebacks. Mm-hmm. It's very amicable, and it's very nice. It made me feel good.
I was like, this is a good conversation.
Yeah, it was a very long opening scene, but it felt good.
Yeah,
it was
great.
I was really impressed with Margaret here. Not once did she say something that I thought wasn't productive. Mm-hmm. Jennifer's also going to try to smooth things over with Melissa. Good luck on that one. She doesn't really understand why Jackie's mad at her. And I'm like, well, because Jackie just recently found out that you were digging in about Evan.
Yeah.
And then she's like,
and now she calls out, and now Jennifer is doing the thing that she should have been more conscious about, and what she's saying and what her comebacks are, because now she's going to decide to throw Teresa under the bus.
Jennifer will throw somebody under the bus.
She don't care.
Did she throw Jackie under the bus to Dolores or vice versa?
But I don't know, both.
Yeah, and now maybe she should be mad at Teresa.
Yeah.
Who's to say that Teresa wasn't calling around?
Exactly.
Ooh.
I was like, uh-oh, Jennifer, now you're going to start messing with the King Cobra.
So Margaret's like, so you were calling around on Jennifer's behalf? Jennifer's like, oh, well, I'm not going to say that.
I'm not going to say that. No.
No.
But...
Read between the lines.
Teresa's digging when she's upset that people are digging about Louis.
Yeah.
So they talk about Louis' allegations. Jennifer's going to keep an eye out for red flags.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention to red flags.
When they leave the restaurant, they have a good hug and a cry and a final apology. Like, what is this?
I know, this isn't very housewifey, but I love it.
I did, because there's always so much drama.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have those warming moments.
Conclusions.
Yeah. Dolores and Frank are shopping to get a gift for her mom, like comfortable things for the hospital. Valerie did well with her surgery, but she's going to be in the hospital for about another week.
Yeah.
How are they going to get her to change her lifestyle?
Yeah, this is now going to be the hard part, is them changing her diet. And changing her whole lifestyle,
Yeah, and you're at that age, it's really hard.
It's hard.
To do.
And it's hard to exercise. It's just...
I've been in a relationship with someone who had a massive heart attack before, and it's like, I learned a lot about heart health there and how unhealthy I am.
Yeah.
David and Frank have been hanging out. David has been talking about Dolores. He thinks she's great, but he's likely hurt and deals by just cutting Dolores out.
He just won't admit it, that he's really hurt.
Mm-hmm. Frank just wants to make sure that Dolores doesn't jump right away.
Start slutting around.
Right. That was so funny.
I just don't want you sleeping around.
You've had 5 midlife crises.
Yeah, okay. And I got over all of them real quick.
Yeah. Banging hookers, actually.
But
it's
funny that Frank's like, she's a serial monogamous.
Yeah.
That's what I am.
Absolutely you are. Mm-hmm. I am when I'm in a relationship.
Yes, you are. But when you're single, look out, everybody. Frank, you'll get over your midlife crisis just like Frank got over his, just by banging hookers. Yeah.
Just kidding. Margaret shows Lexi the text she got from Tracy inviting all of the women to a team building activity at Treescape Adventure Park.
I ain't trusting half these bitches.
Meanwhile, Jackie got all of her blood work back and the results from her EKGs from the treatment center, and they're suggesting inpatient treatment.
For a couple months, yeah. Second option is just 3 hours a day, 3 times a week in therapy. The third option would be just working with therapists on her own terms at home.
Well, Evan thinks that Jackie should trust the professionals.
And that shows how much Evan really cares about her and knows, like, this is serious.
But Jackie's not having it.
No, she's like, I got a full life. I
know
can do
what
all
I need.
this stuff.
I know what I need. Clearly, you don't.
No, you don't, because
you wouldn't be seeking treatment.
You've been doing this for years.
Yeah, you don't know what
help.
you need. I don't want to miss time with the kids. Well, you can miss, however long it lasts, 60 days. I don't know however long.
And it's not like at the very least, do the second option.
You go on full-on vacations with the Housewives and leave your kids. I mean, come on.
It's just an excuse because she just doesn't want to be put
It
into
is,
that
and it
situation.
makes me so sad. I mean, it's because she's ill,
Yeah.
That's hard.
When
to
she's
deal with.
really low, she feels like she needs that, but when she's not feeling really low, she's like, no, I can handle this.
Yeah, ugh, poor Jackie. Well, over at the Gorgas, Melissa's still stressed about Antonia. But Antonia's even told her dad that she doesn't want to cheer, and Melissa just thinks that pushing her to be her best means pushing her to cheer. And I get that because I'm sure Antonia really just loved it at one point.
Yeah.
It just really made her happy and fulfilled her. And she probably, had success at competitions and stuff like that.
And it's gotta suck to watch your child just get so depressed and just shut down.
Yeah. And maybe you should say, okay, if you don't want to cheer, then let's find something else that you're passionate about so that you're not sitting around.
Being upset that you aren't cheering.
Yeah. Which, maybe that would be a good workaround about. Melissa tells Joe about Tracy's team building. Maybe I should learn how to talk before we record a podcast.
Yeah, Louie.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Can I say something?
Melissa tells Joe about Tracy's team building invite.
Yes.
Melissa hasn't seen Jennifer, but she has accepted that Jennifer might be going through a hard time and she's open to a good experience. Over at the Aidens, it's very awkward between Bill and Jennifer. He's very quiet. He's like beaten down.
And did they say that they were going to have a live-in housekeeper?
Well, remember last season they were looking for one? Do you remember that? So yeah, I just felt like it was a follow-up to that they still hadn't found one, remember? And they're getting another one. Jennifer tells Bill about her conversation with Margaret. He's skeptical that it's over this quickly and easily, understandably so.
Yeah.
But Jennifer just doesn't want to fight, She's dealing with this affair situation. She just wants to make it all right. She brings up that he checked out the barbecue even though he showed up for her guys. Again, Jennifer, he showed up for you at guys' night.
Yeah.
He learned his lesson. He didn't do it right at the barbecue. He showed up for you at guys' night. He's clearly figuring it out. You got to give it to him. But Bill doesn't want to argue with the guy, so he's just going to cut him out. That's how he deals.
Yeah, Bill's just like, I'm done. I don't need
That's kind of how I deal with a lot of things, too. I get it. But he's really short with his words, and that whole scene felt very unresolved.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. So over at Jackie's, Margaret arrives and they go outside. Margaret pours herself an iced coffee.
Those iced coffees, ever since you said that, iced coffees are all over.
Yes.
It's all over.
They can just quit drinking cocktails and just have their iced coffee.
Iced coffee with some Baileys or something. Then you can drink.
Yeah. Jackie tells Margaret about her treatment center's recommendation and that she doesn't need it.
I know what I need and know what I don't.
And Jackie's good to stick with the outpatient therapist on her time. She's been doing this without a therapist for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, eventually you had to get a therapist because it wasn't working
What's
for you,
working
honey.
for you? Yeah.
So let's trust the professionals.
Yeah, she just keeps wanting to dip her toe in the water, and she needs to just get in and just commit to it.
When an eating disorder can kill you and your children are noticing it.
Wondering why you're not eating what the rest of the family's eating, maybe you really, really should stop and be like, I really need help.
Yeah, and I'm not saying, again, I understand where she is. I get it.
It's just
tough.
it's the medical side of it that stresses me out.
Yes.
Because they do that with people that are getting off drugs and alcoholism. Like, if you just cut cold turkey and just go into a new lifestyle, that could kill you. And her eating again might kill her.
And then they can, monitor her.
Yes.
They're healthy. Oh.
And it might not even be for months at a time. And she might do so well during the program that they're like, you are ready to go out on your own and just do therapy on your own terms.
Yeah.
Just get the tools. Get the tools to do this.
Right. Over at Dolores's, Jennifer and Teresa come over. Valerie's still in the ICU. Everyone is having a fight for where she goes after the hospital.
Oh my goodness.
But even David wants her to stay with him.
Yeah.
I say do it.
I would too. And I love it that David went there when she was going under anesthesia to make sure that she was comfortable and okay.
But they ran into each other at the hospital, David and Dolores, and he still avoided her.
Yeah, just turned away
someone
and
who's
just started talking to
really
everyone.
emotionally immature.
Yeah, just not there.
Jennifer understands about having a hard time dealing with emotions, and she tells Dolores and Teresa about her conversation with Margaret. Margaret is telling Jackie the same story.
Yeah.
And she tells Jackie that Jennifer isn't sure if she can stay with Bill.
Yeah, Margaret needs to stop spreading this.
This is what I found wild. Yeah, I'm glad that you caught that too, because pretty much for the rest of the episode...
That's the one point that she keeps making, that Jennifer Jennifer doesn't think she could be with him anymore. But that's not what Jennifer said.
No.
She says, I'm afraid that if this happens, I'm going to figure out that I'm not going to be able to make this work with them. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm afraid of. And even Margaret's like, you guys are going to be fine. Hey, y'all, they're going to get a divorce. Right. It's like, whoa, yeah, Margaret, stop.
Margaret, you made such a good impression last episode.
You did, so be careful, Margaret. I guarantee you it's going to come back to bite her in the ass.
Without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer tells Teresa and Dolores about Bill standing up for her at guys' night, which is nice. Jackie and Evan are not forgiving Jennifer for trying to dig about Evan, so Margaret tells Jackie about Teresa's involvement.
Mm-hmm.
Then Jennifer brings up that Tiki was asking Louie a lot of questions. I feel like we've got 1,000 different conversations going on at the time. Why is Tracy asking all of these questions? Why is Margaret asking questions? Why can't people ask questions about Louie?
You better stop with her questions because she's going to really piss me off.
I know.
Why not? They're not asking a question is not accusing.
Damning him or anything. They want them to
they really
explain himself,
really,
explain the conversation, because everybody in the world is seeing this video now. It's out there, Teresa, not just because you haven't seen it.
Yeah. And beyond the video, all the other articles and posts about abuse and all that kind of stuff. I just don't understand that that Teresa and Louie can't understand that this is their chance to clean it up.
All I know is from Louie's side and all of these stories coming out, it's a lot of smoke. And when there's smoke, there is fire.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's right, John B.
Sometimes when there's that much smoke, there's got to be some fire.
Yeah,
Well, the ladies arrive at Treescape. This is a very fast-moving episode. John is there, the Treescape instructor. They're going to do some blindfolded climbing.
This is your biggest fear.
Yes, it is.
Having wires hold you up.
Yes, I don't trust that anything is going to hold up my wings. And that would have been, I would have been the person calling you and telling you how to cross it.
Yeah, and I love it that Dolores is pretty much the only person that really gave it her all in doing this. And she's like, I'm going to do this blindfolded all the way to the end while everyone else is having conversations and bitching about this.
Tracy was willing to, but Teresa was not willing to. Well, they weren't, that was a big mistake not allowing them to choose with whom they're paired.
Thank you.
Especially with Teresa showing up.
She's like, I'm already grumpy.
Tornado.
I was afraid they were all going to be vibrators again, all those gifts she had. She's just like, I'm just not in a good mood. This isn't going to be good.
I'm not in a good mood, so this is not going to be good. I'm just saying.
Melissa's biggest issue is the goggles with her lashes. Maybe don't wear lashes to a tree climbing event.
What?
Okay, you're right. Sorry, I was wrong. I'm sorry, you're right.
That's insanity.
Well, Margaret tells everybody about her conversation with Jennifer and
how they're not going to make it in their relationship, their marriage isn't going to work.
Melissa really gains some compassion for Jennifer. It turns out that really, no one understood what a big deal this would be to Jennifer. It feels as if everyone was kind of on the same page that everyone knew all along. So obviously.
Yeah, Jennifer knew.
That's, I don't know if it's true, but it feels, that's what I got from it.
Okay, so this is how irritated Teresa is. She's already not in a good mood or anything. And so Margaret just makes this kind of joke like, oh, these bugs, watch out, it's going to get stuck in your lip gloss. What are you saying about my lip gloss? What are you saying about that? What does that mean? And Margaret's like, oh my gosh, nothing.
Sister. Just made you need some bug spray.
Oh no, it's just lip gloss is so glossy and bugs will get stuck in there if they fly. It's like tar.
Yes. Well, before Teresa even shows up, Margaret tells everybody about Jennifer dropping the bomb that Teresa was also digging in.
Oh yes.
So Margaret did her homework. And she called the person from whom Jennifer was digging information. And when Jennifer called, they said, Jennifer says, Teresa wants to know.
Teresa wants to know.
So was Jennifer either using Teresa as like a power move because Teresa is the queen of New Jersey, or was Teresa having Jennifer do her dirty work? I think it's the latter, personally. I think Teresa was the puppet master.
Yeah.
And Jackie wants Dolores to speak out. Why can't anybody talk about Louis if Teresa was digging? Come on, Dolores. She's your friend.
Yeah.
Anyhow, Dolores warns everyone that Teresa's coming in hot today. She's mad at
my
Margaret.
gosh.
She's mad at Tracy.
I just love her showing up with all those gift bags in her hand and just saying, I'm just letting everybody know now, I'm not in a good mood. It's not going to be good. I'm just saying.
I don't like heights.
Yeah, I don't like any of this that we're doing today.
I'm not a woods person. I'm really not.
And I'm like, then why did you come?
So that she can knock someone down.
That's true. She wants to really point fingers
And
at
listen,
people.
she ain't going to miss that money for that scene.
That's true.
Teresa, to pay back all of that debt from her and Joe's situation is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So she ain't going to miss that money. But you know what? I was looking at like the richest housewives. On this cast, Margaret is so much more wealthier than all of these women. Like it blew my, like Margaret is worth hundreds of thousands more. And Teresa is sadly, after all that she's had to pay back, she's at the bottom of the wealthiest list of New Jersey. But I gotta look and see what Margaret does. That's insane.
Yeah.
When Jennifer arrives, Melissa pulls her aside immediately. They both apologize. They both put it aside right away. I'm really enjoying this.
This is great. Yeah, this is great.
Let's be good. Let's have fun.
Because even Melissa's like, has compassion for her now.
But now, if everyone except for Teresa and whoever she's mad at gets along for the rest of the season, am I going to hate that or am I going to enjoy it?
I don't know. I think you might hate it.
I know, right? I don't know. It looks like Teresa's going to keep them fired up for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
I don't
she's
think
the
we're gonna have to
queen.
worry
She's the
about
queen.
So Margaret says we'll get the bug spray and the lip gloss, and Teresa thinks she's making a dig. Teresa's mad at everything. Everything she says is nasty.
Yeah, everything. She cannot hide how irritated she is with everything that they're doing.
Tracy and Margaret in particular.
Oh,
But she
yeah.
even heckles the instructor.
Oh, yeah. I was like, Teresa, calm down.
That's just not being a respectful adult. But, Dolores goes across first, guided by Jackie. Jackie and Dolores are always pretty easy to get past their problems.
Yeah, they're
fine.
in the same brainwave. I feel like that. And I love it that during this, when they're making up and all this stuff, you could see Teresa in the background looking for service on her phone so she could complain to Louis of how irritated she is being there.
Right. But, like, when it's Tracy's turn, Teresa's not doing it, so she makes
Teresa's
Melissa do it. So Teresa comes up to Dolores and Jackie, and they tell Teresa that they're talking about Margaret and Jennifer making up. But Teresa's still mad that Margaret brought it up after Teresa brought up Evan last season.
She wants Margaret to pay so bad for bringing up the affair.
You do not want Margaret to be your enemy.
No.
Yes.
And it's like, well, you're trying to bring up the affair last season with Evan, Teresa.
Yeah.
Gosh, it is just insanity. There's no way you could have a conversation with
Hypocrisy
her.
is almost funny.
Oh my God.
With Jennifer, Aiden, and Teresa.
It's just sometimes you
funny.
you stare at her and you're like, do you really believe that? What kind is coming out of your mouth? Is that truly how you really, your brainwave thinks? Or are you just really that prideful that you don't want to hurt your pride in any form or fashion? So you're going to lock down to anything that's going to make you look better.
I think pride is the key word there. I think you got it right there. But they're talking so loudly that everyone, including Margaret, can hear it. So Margaret tells Teresa, quit talking about it.
I love it when they yell back at each other. Well, you look like shit. Well, you look like shit too.
You look like shit all last year.
And Teresa's like, what? Now, and starts walking.
She's like, Jennifer and I have made up. We're adults.
She is jogging over there. And I was like, uh-oh.
Could you imagine if Teresa were to hit Margaret? She looked like she would.
I thought it was going to happen.
I can't wait to see what happens in the next episode. What a cliffhanger right there.
Jeez. And they've been doing that every episode. Every episode is right.
Well, that's kind of what they do.
That's just what they do.
That's kind of, they gear you up the whole episode for the last 5 minutes.
Yes. And then you bring in the next episode and you get the resolve and then they do it all over again.
But I had seen this, like a little bit of this final scene on the internet, probably on Twitter over the few days heading up to it. And it gave me chills.
Yeah.
Gave me chills. So I can't wait to see what happens in episode 9 where, I'm scared. I'm scared. But in the meantime, that is the end. We did it. We caught up. We only have no more episodes that we're behind.
Yay! Thank God. Did we get any reviews on Apple?
You know what? I haven't even looked. Let's take a look real quick. Nope.
Well, no new reviews, so...
So no news for you.
Yeah, maybe I just won't talk anymore.
Well, at least follow us on our social media.
Yes.
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. We're The Real Housebears. On Twitter, we are Real Housebears. And you can email us at therealhousebears@gmail.com.
Ooh. You can also find us on YouTube at The Real Housebears Podcast. And if you're new to listening to us or you just haven't left a review for us yet, would you please go to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star rating and a cute little review, and we will talk about that review and announce your tag name on there so you can be as famous as us.
Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you, Dallas and the Dallas Bears.
And the Dallas airplane going over right now. Thank you.
Drink. One final drink before the episode's over.
Episode's over.
Have a great week, y'all. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Check.
Checking the sound. Here we go. Check.
It's the Yellow Rose of Texas.
The Yellow Rose of Texas? Ooh.